Welcome to our channel. October 1943, Camp Hearn, Texas. The military truck kicked up dust as it transported 30 German women prisoners to their new work assignment, a cattle ranch 40 miles from the main P facility. Johanna Schneider pressed her face against the metal slats, watching the landscape transform from barren desert to rolling grassland dotted with mesquite trees. She'd been a nurse in Hamburg before the war, captured on a hospital ship, torpedoed off the coast of Norway, 6 months in American custody, and this was the strangest assignment yet. Working cattle, muttered Greta beside her. They think German women can be cowboys. They think we're cheap labor. Johanna corrected, like the Mexicans and the prisoners, we're just another resource to exploit. The ranch appeared on the horizon, sprawling, prosperous, with corral full of horses and longhorn cattle grazing in endless pastures. A sign read, Double Ranch established 1872. The truck stopped. Armed guards waited, along with a single figure on horseback, a man silhouetted against the afternoon sun, sitting so still he could have been carved from stone. That's the owner, the driver said, Robert Dalton. Fair man, but don't cross him. He runs this place like clockwork. Robert Dalton dismounted in one fluid motion. He was younger than Johanna expected, maybe 32, tall and lean, with sound-darkened skin and eyes the color of creek water. He wore typical ranch clothes, jeans, boots, a worn shirt and a sun pushed back on his head. Ladies, he said in accented but functional German, welcome to the Double R. You'll work here until wars end or until the government reassigns you. I expect hard work, honesty, and respect. In return, you'll get fair treatment, 3 meals daily and wages deposited in federal accounts. Wages. Johanna couldn't help herself. We're prisoners, you're workers. Dalton's eyes found hers. Prisoners back at camp. Workers on my ranch. There's a difference. What difference? Greta challenged workers. Get dignity. Dalton gestured to the bunkhouse. Get settled. Tomorrow we start training. Most of you have never been on a horse. That changes now. Before we discover how one moment on horseback would change everything. Tell us where you're watching from. Are you in Texas, Germany, or somewhere watching this powerful story unfold? We love connecting with viewers who appreciate these hidden histories of compassion during conflict. That evening Johanna stood at the corral fence watching ranch hands work with horses. The animals moved with grace and power, responding to subtle commands. One horse, a magnificent Palomino mare, caught her attention. She was beautiful, spirited, clearly the pride of the herd. That's Sunshine, a voice said. Dalton had appeared beside her, quiet as smoke, 7 years old, smartest horse I've ever trained. She knows what you're thinking before you think it. She's beautiful. Furthermore, she's also particular. Won't let just anyone ride her. Dalton studied Johanna. You worked in medicine, according to your file. How did you? I read all your files. Know who I'm working with. His tone wasn't threatening, just matter of fact. Nurse at Hamburg General Hospital, captured, serving on medical transport. No combat record, no party affiliation. Is that why I'm here? Because I'm not dangerous. You're here because I requested medical personnel. Dalton turned to face her fully. Ranch work is dangerous. People get hurt. I need someone who knows how to set bones, stitch wounds, treat infections. The nearest doctor is 30 m away. You want me to be the ranch nurse? I want you to be, whatever skills you bring, nurse by emergency, ranch hand by trade. Dalton's expression was unreadable. Tomorrow morning 6 a.m., you're learning to ride. Can't work cattle. If you can't sit a horse, what if I refuse? Then you go back to Camp Hearn and spend the war doing laundry. Dalton's voice remained even. Your choice, always your choice here. He walked away, leaving Johanna staring at Sunshine, who'd approached the fence and now nuzzled her hand gently. "He's different from the others." Greta appeared beside her. "The other ranchers who use prison labor. They treat us like slaves. Dalton treats us like I don't know what, like people," Johanna said quietly. "He treats us like people. Don't trust it." Greta's voice hardened. "My father was American. I know how they think, they're kind until you're no longer useful. Then you're disposable." But watching Sunshine's gentle eyes, feeling the mayor's warm breath on her palm, Johanna wondered if, maybe, just maybe, Greta was wrong. That night she dreamed of riding across endless plains, the wind in her hair, no walls, no guards, no war, just freedom and the rhythm of hoof beats. She woke to darkness, her heart pounding. The dream so vivid it hurt. Oh, dawn broke cold and sharp. Johanna joined the other women in the yard where 30 horses stood saddled and waiting. Dalton stood beside a gentle-looking bay gelding, holding the res. "This is your first lesson, mounting. It's simple but crucial. Do it wrong, spook the horse. You're on the ground with broken bones." He demonstrated, left foot in stirrup, smooth, swing up, settling into the saddle like he belonged there. "Your turn. Start with the smaller horses. They're forgiving." The women fumbled through attempts, some succeeding, most failing, a few falling. Dalton moved among them with endless patience, adjusting stirrups, correcting posture, offering quiet encouragement. "You're gripping too tight," he told one woman. "The horse feels your fear, breathe, trust." Johanna waited her turn, watching, learning. When Dalton approached with a chestnut mare named Rosie, she was ready. "Standard mount," he instructed, "left foot, I know." Johanna placed her foot in the stirrup, swung up smoothly. She'd been watching carefully, memorizing every movement. Dalton's eyebrows rose. Natural talent or good observation? Good observation, it's how I learned medicine, watch, learn, execute, useful skill. He adjusted her stirrups with practiced efficiency. But watching and doing are different. Walk her around the corral, get a feel for her movement. Johanna urged Rosie forward. The mayor responded immediately, walking in a steady circuit. The sensation was extraordinary, 8 feet off the ground, moving with an animal's rhythm, feeling power and grace beneath her. "You're a natural," Dalton called. "Keep your heels down, hands soft on the reins, let her know you're there, without controlling every step." By mid-morning most women could mount and walk their horses. A few could even trot. Johanna progressed fastest. Her medical training giving her an understanding of body mechanics that translated to riding, enough for today. Dalton announced, "Dismount, cool down your horses, water them. Tomorrow we start working cattle." As Johanna dismounted, her legs trembling from unused muscles, she noticed Sunshine standing alone in a separate corral. The Palomino watched the lesson with intelligent eyes. "Why doesn't anyone ride her?" Johanna asked. "Told you she's particular." Dalton approached the corral. Sunshine immediately came to him, nuzzling his shoulder. "She was my wife's horse." The word hung in the air was, "I'm sorry." Johanna said quietly, "Cancer 2 years ago." Dalton's voice stayed level, but something flickered in his eyes. "Sarah loved this ranch, loved the horses. Sunshine was hers since she was a filly. After Sarah died, Sunshine wouldn't let anyone else ride her, just me sometimes. But even I can tell she's waiting for what? For Sarah to come back or for someone who reminds her of Sarah?" Dalton turned to Johanna. "You have her gentleness. Sarah was a nurse too before she married me, worked battlefield hospitals in the Great War. Your wife was a combat nurse, toughest person I ever knew." A ghost of a smile crossed Dalton's face. "She'd have liked. You would have appreciated your observation skills, your quick learning." Johanna felt something twist in her chest, grief, recognizing grief across enemy lines. Can I try? The words escaped before she could stop them. To ride sunshine? Dalton studied her for a long moment. Why? Because I understand, waiting for someone who won't come back. My fiancé died at Stalingrad, and I think sometimes horses know things we don't about loss and healing. That's either very wise or very foolish. Dalton opened the corral gate. Let's find out which. Sunshine watched Johanna approach, ears forward, alert but not hostile. Johanna moved slowly, remembering how Dalton had done it, confident but respectful, giving the horse space to choose. "Hello, beautiful girl," Johanna murmured in German. "I know you miss her. I miss him too. Maybe we can be sad together." Sunshine took a step forward, then another. She sniffed Johanna's outstretched hand, her breath warm and alive. "That's more than she's done for anyone in 2 years," Dalton said softly. "Don't push it, just stand there, let her decide." They stood in silence, woman and horse, both mourning, both trapped in circumstances beyond their control. Sunshine finally pressed her forehead against Johanna's chest, a gesture of trust that made Johanna's eyes burn with tears. "She likes you," Dalton's voice was thick. "Sarah always said Sunshine could sense good hearts." "I'm not good," Johanna whispered. "I'm German, I'm the enemy." Sarah would have said, "That's politics, not truth." Dalton moved beside Johanna, placed a hand on Sunshine's neck. "The truth is, you're a nurse who saved lives, a woman who lost someone she loved. That's who you are. The rest is just noise." Sunshine shifted, positioning herself between them without being asked, without being commanded, like she was building a bridge. Dr. 3 weeks passed in a blur of riding lessons, cattle work and exhaustion that made sleep dreams. Johanna discovered she had a gift for ranch work. The same precision that made her a good nurse made her excellent with animals. She could sense when a cow was sick, anticipate when a horse would spook, judge distances and dangers with medical accuracy. Dalton noticed he started assigning her more complex tasks, checking cattle for disease, assisting with difficult births, training younger horses. "You've become essential," he said one evening as they treated a calf with an infected leg. Johanna held the animal steady while Dalton administered antibiotics. "Can't imagine running this operation without you now." "Careful hair, Dalton. That sounds dangerously close to respect." "It's Robert, and it is respect. You've earned it." He finished the injection, released the calf. "How's your riding progression with Sunshine?" "Slow. She lets me groom her now, feed her, stand in her stall but not ride yet. She's testing you, making sure you're worthy." Robert cleaned his hands on a rag. "Sarah used to say Sunshine could see into souls, know who was genuine and who was performing." What did Sunshine see in Sarah? Everything: good, courage, kindness, strength hidden under gentleness. Robert's eyes went distant. Sarah, nursed in France during the Great War, saw things that would break most people, came home and chose to build a life instead of dwelling in nightmares. That's real strength. Is that why you treat us with dignity? Because Sarah taught you, she taught me, that humanity matters more than nationality, that suffering is universal and compassion should be too. Robert met Johanna's eyes. "I could hate every German for this war. My nephew died at Catherine Pass, my best friend lost his legs in North Africa." But Sarah would have asked, does hating help them? Does it honor their sacrifice? What's the answer? No. The only thing that honors them is building a world where their deaths meant something, where we learn to be better. Robert stood, offered Johanna a hand. "Up, you ready for tomorrow?" "What's tomorrow?" "Annual cattle drive, moving the herd to winter pasture, 20 miles rough terrain, 2 days camping under stars. You're coming, you and Greta and 5 others. I need experienced riders now." "I'm not experienced. You're better than half my regular hands and I need your medical skills in case someone gets hurt." Robert's tone left no room for argument. Be ready at dawn, bring warm clothes. Texas nights get cold. The next morning, Johanna sat on ROS's back, surrounded by 300 head of cattle and a dozen riders, ranch hands, German prisoners, and Robert leading the way on. A big ran stallion named Thunder. Stay close to the herd, Robert instructed. Don't let stragglers wander. If something spooks them, get out of the way, a stampede will kill you. Questions, none, just nervous energy and the smell of cattle, dust and possibility. They moved out as the sun rose, the herd flowing like a river across the prairie. Johanna found her position on the left flank, keeping pace, learning the rhythm. It was exhausting, exhilarating and strangely peaceful. Just movement and purpose, and the endless Texas sky. By midday, they'd covered 8 miles. Robert called a rest stop near a creek. The women dismounted gratefully, muscles screaming. You're doing well, Robert told Johanna as they watered the horses. Natural horsewoman, natural disaster, more like I can barely walk. That's the first day. Tomorrow you'll be sore in places you didn't know existed, he grinned, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. But you'll survive. You're tougher than you think, a shout from downstream. One of the ranch hands, a young man named Miguel, had been thrown from his horse. He lay in the creek bed, his leg bent at a wrong angle. Johanna ran medical training, overrode everything else. She knelt beside Miguel, assessed quickly, compound fracture, tibia, bleeding but not arterial. Don't move, she commanded in English, Robert, I need splints. Clean your first aid kit now. Robert moved instantly gathering supplies. Johanna worked with focused intensity cleaning the wound, setting the bone with practice, precision spinning and wrapping hospital. She said he needs surgery. This is just stabilization. Nearest hospital is 40 miles. Robert's jaw tightened. We'll have to ride him back. He can't ride. The jostling could damage the bone further, sever an artery. Johanna thought, rapidly we need a wagon, something that can carry him flat. Don't have a wagon. This is a cattle drive, not a. Robert stopped, wait, there's an old line shack 5 miles east has a small cart used for supplies. Get it. I'll stay with him, Johanna. That leaves you alone with an injured man in the middle of nowhere. I'm a nurse, this is what I do. She met his eyes, trust me. Robert stared at her for a heartbeat, then nodded, 2 hours, I'll be back with the cart. He mounted Thunder and galloped away, leaving Johanna with Miguel who was drifting in shock. Stay with me, she murmured, monitoring his pulse. You're going to be fine, just stay awake. The sun climbed higher. Miguel's breathing stayed steady. Johanna calculated dosages, monitored for infection, kept him hydrated from the creek. You're good at this, Miguel whispered in Spanish, accented English. Robert said you were a real nurse. Best decision he made bringing you here. He didn't bring me, the government assigned me. He requested you specifically, saw your medical records, fought to get you on his ranch. Miguel managed a weak smile, said he needed someone who understood saving lives, not taking them. Before Johanna could respond, Robert returned with the cart together. They lifted Miguel carefully, secured him for transport. You saved his life. Robert said as they began the slow journey back. I did my job. No, you did more than your job. You're a prisoner. You could have walked away, let an American suffer. Instead, you saved him. Robert's voice was quiet but intense. That matters, Johanna. That defines who you are. Their eyes met over Miguel's still form and Johanna felt something shift, the first crack in the wall she'd built around her heart. Oh, Miguel's rescue changed everything. Word spread through the ranch, then to neighboring spreads, then to Camp Hearn. The German nurse who'd saved an American cowboy became a story. People told proof that humanity survived war. But it also brought attention. Johanna didn't want. Camp authorities questioned why a prisoner had been left alone with an American. Robert was investigated for fraternization. The easy working relationship they developed became complicated by scrutiny and suspicion. They're watching us. Greta warned the guards, the other ranchers, even some of the women here. They think you're collaborating. I'm working. That's not collaboration. You're becoming friends with him. That's dangerous. The Greta's expression was worried about both of you. If they think you're inappropriate with each other, they'll separate you, send you to a different camp, maybe send all of us back to the main facility. There's nothing inappropriate, doesn't matter. What's true, matters what it looks like. Greta squeezed her arm. Be careful, Johanna. I've seen what happens when prisoners get too comfortable. The system punishes it. Johanna tried to maintain distance, but ranch work required constant contact with Robert, planning, coordinating, solving problems. And slowly, despite her caution, she began to know him beyond the boss. She learned he'd inherited the ranch at 19 when his father died, that he'd built it from struggling to prosperous through sheer will and intelligence, that he read poetry Whitman Frost and could quote Shakespeare in 3 languages. Sarah taught me, he admitted one evening as they sat on the corral fence watching sunset paint the sky crimson. She was educated, cultured. I was just a ranch hand with dirt under his nails. She made me better. You're selling yourself short. Running a ranch this size requires intelligence, leadership, vision. It requires stubbornness and early mornings. Robert smiled. But thank you, Sarah would have liked that you defended me. Why did you marry her really? Robert was quiet for a long moment because she saw me, not the ranch, not the prospects, not what I could provide, just me, Robert Dalton, a man who loved horses and hated crowds and thought poetry could change the world. He glanced at Johanna. That's rarer than you'd think being seen, I know. Johanna said softly, my fiancé Claus. He saw me as a trophy, the pretty nurse who'd make his officer friends jealous. He never asked about my work, my dreams, what I wanted beyond being his wife. Did you love him? I thought I did. Now I think I love the idea of being chosen, of mattering to someone. She shook her head. Pathetic, isn't it? It's human. Robert turned to face her fully. Johanna, I need to ask you something and I need you to be honest. Her heart rate increased. What do you want to go back to Germany? I mean, when the war ends? The question struck like a physical blow. I don't know. There's nothing left. My family died in the Hamburg bombings. Blouse is dead. The Germany I knew is gone. If you had a choice to stay in America, would you? Why are you asking? Because I'm going to need a ranch manager, someone who understands the operation, can work with the hands, knows medicine and animals, someone I trust. Robert's voice was careful. There are programs, asylum applications. If an American citizen sponsors a refugee, vouches for their character. You want to sponsor me? Johanna could barely breathe. As what an employee, as whatever you want to be, Robert's eyes held hers, friend, partner, manager, I'm not. I'm not good at this, at saying what I feel. Sarah was the one with words, but I know that you've become important to the ranch, to me, and I don't want to lose that when the war ends. Robert, you don't have to answer now. Just think about it. Think about whether you could build a life here, whether you could see this place as home. Before Johanna could respond, a commotion erupted from the main house. Guards arrived more than usual and federal agents in dark suits, Dalton, the lead agents. Voice was sharp. We need to speak with you now. Johanna's stomach dropped. This was it. They were being separated, but the agent's next words changed everything. We've received intelligence about a planned escape attempt, 10 prisoners from your ranch and 2 others. They're planning to steal horses, make a run for the Mexican border tonight. Robert's face hardened. Which prisoners we don't know yet. That's why we're here to interrogate your workers. Separate the loyal from the conspirators. There are no conspirators on my ranch, Robert said firmly. These women work hard, follow rules. Have given no indication. That's what they all say. Until prisoners disappear and Americans get killed, the agent gestured to his men, round them up, we'll question them individually. The next 6 hours were brutal, each woman interrogated separately, repeatedly, aggressively. Johanna answered the same questions dozens of times. Did she know about escape plans? Had anyone approached her? Was she planning to run? No, she repeated. I'm not running. I have work here. Purpose, why would I throw that away? Because you're German, the agent said coldly. Because loyalty to the fatherland runs deeper than gratitude for American kindness. Finally, they identified the conspirators, not from Robert's ranch but from 2 neighboring spreads where conditions were harsher, treatment cruel. The 10 women were arrested, transferred to maximum security. But the damage was done. Trust was shattered. New restrictions were implemented, armed guards during all work hours, no unsupervised contact between prisoners and civilians, mandatory check-ins every 2 hours. I'm sorry, Robert told Johanna the next morning. This ruins everything we've built. It ruins freedom, but not work. We can still know. Robert's voice was heavy. The government's pulling all prisoners from private ranches, new policy too much risk. You're being transferred back to Camp Hearn tomorrow. Johanna felt the world tilt tomorrow. I fought it, called every contact I have, but they're inflexible. The escape attempt scared them. Robert looked physically pained. I'm losing all of you. The ranch will barely survive without the labor. Then hire Americans, pay wages, you'll manage. I'm not worried about the ranch. Robert stepped closer, his voice dropping. I'm worried about losing you, Robert. We barely know each other. I know you're brave, skilled, kind, even when you have every reason to be bitter. I know you make me want to be better than I am. He took her hands the first time he'd touched her beyond professional necessity, and I know that if you leave tomorrow I'll regret not saying this for the rest of my life. I'm falling in love with you, Johanna. I know it's impossible, I know the timing is horrible, but it's true. Tears burned Johanna's eyes. You can't love me. I'm the enemy. You're the woman who saved Miguel's life, who gentled sunshine, who makes sunrise worth seeing. Robert's grip tightened. Tell me you don't feel anything. Tell me it's just me and I'll let you go. But if you feel even a fraction of what I feel everything. Johanna whispered, and it terrifies me. Then fight for it, apply for asylum. Let me sponsor you, let me. A guard's voice interrupted. Dalton prisoners, time is up, step away. Robert released her hands. I'll find a way. I promise I'll find a way to bring you back. But as Johanna was escorted to the bunkhouse, she knew some promises were too broken to keep. The transport truck left at dawn, 30 women returning to Camp Hearn, to barracks and barbed wire and the slow death of hope. Johanna pressed her face against the metal slats one last time, watching the double ranch disappear in the dust. Robert stood alone in the yard, his estisan in his hands, a figure of grief and determination. Sunshine stood beside him watching the truck leave, her golden coat gleaming in early light. You're crying. Greta said. I'm saying goodbye to the ranch or to him? Both, all of it. Johanna wiped her eyes. I was starting to believe I could be more than a prisoner. That was foolish, or it was hope. Greta surprised her by taking her hand. Hope isn't foolish, Johanna. It's what keeps us alive. Camp Hearn was exactly as Johanna remembered, gray, crowded, efficient and soul-crushing. She was reassigned to the medical ward treating prisoners for ailments both physical and mental. Days blurred together, no horses, no prairie, no Robert. Letters arrived, first weekly, then daily, Robert's handwriting filling pages with ranch news, poetry quotes and barely disguised longing. Sunshine won't let anyone near her again. It's like she knows you're gone. I tried writing her yesterday. She threw me first time in 7 years. I think she's mourning you. Miguel's leg healed perfectly. He says you're the best nurse he's ever seen and he's worked ranches from here to Montana. Says I'm a fool if I let you slip away. He's right, I'm filing asylum paperwork. I know it's a long shot, I know there are 1,000 regulations, but I'm not giving up. Sarah taught me that the things worth having are worth fighting for. The letters were contraband. Camp regulations forbade personal correspondence with civilians, but Johanna kept them hidden, reading them until the pages wore soft. She wrote back once, breaking every rule. Dear Robert, don't fight this, you'll ruin yourself for a German woman you barely know. Build a life, find someone who isn't broken by war. Forget me. It's kinder for both of us, Johanna. His reply came by messenger, a ranch hand who smuggled it through with the delivery of beef to the camp kitchen. Johanna, I can't forget you. I tried, spent 3 weeks convincing myself. It was temporary insanity, proximity, loneliness. But then Sunshine came to me this morning, pressed her head against my chest, like she does when she's sad, and I realized you're not temporary, you're not insanity. You're the first person since Sarah who made me want tomorrow more than yesterday. So no, I won't give up, I won't move on. I'll fight every regulation, every bureaucrat, every obstacle until you're free. And if I fail, at least I tried. That matters. Robert Greta found Johanna crying over the letter. He really loves you. He loves an idea. Furthermore, he doesn't know the real me, doesn't he? Furthermore, he knows you're a nurse who saves lives. Furthermore, he knows you're brave enough to stay with an injured man alone. Furthermore, he knows you're kind enough to gentle a grieving horse. Greta sat beside her. That's not an idea, that's you. It doesn't matter, I'm a prisoner, he's an American rancher. There's no future. There's always a future. It's just a question of whether you're brave enough to fight for it. 2 months later, a miracle arrived in the form of government paperwork. The War Department, facing labor shortages, reinstated the agricultural work program, but with stricter oversight. Smaller groups, increased guards, limited interactions. Robert requested. Johanna specifically justified it with medical necessity. Miguel had ongoing complications. The ranch needed a qualified nurse. Johanna had proven trustworthy. The request was approved. Johanna returned to the Double R Ranch on a cold January morning, her heart pounding. As the truck approached the familiar gates, Robert waited in the yard. Beside him stood Sunshine, saddled and ready. "Welcome back," Robert said simply. "Sunshine's been waiting." The guards allowed supervised contact. Johanna approached the mayor slowly, hands extended. Sunshine Winnie trotted forward, pressed her golden head against Johanna's chest. "She remembers," Robert said, his voice thick with emotion. "I told you horses no, Robert, I not." Yet he led Sunshine closer. "First you ride. You've earned this. You and she both deserve it." He helped Johanna mount, his hands on her waist, steadying her, lingering a moment too long. Then he handed her the res. "She's yours now. Sunshine chose you," just like he stopped, corrected himself, just like she chose Sarah. Once Johanna sat on Sunshine's back, feeling the mayor's warmth, her strength, her acceptance. And when Robert swung up onto Thunder beside her, their eyes met with understanding. That needed no words. They rode across the prairie together, guards following at a distance, the winter sun, bright and cold. And for the first time since the war began, Johanna felt something that wasn't grief or anger or fear. She felt home. That night, as guards escorted her back to the bunkhouse, Robert caught her hand for one stolen second. "I'm not giving up on us," he whispered. "Whatever it takes, however long, I'm not giving up." "Neither am I." Johanna whispered back, and at that moment, with sunshine watching from her corral and stars blooming overhead, the future stopped being impossible and started being inevitable. Spring 1944, the work program stabilized. Johanna spent 6 days weekly at the R, 1 day at Camp Hearn. She lived in two worlds, prisoner and free woman, German and almost American. Guarded and trusted, Robert navigated the restrictions brilliantly. Every interaction had plausible professional justification, teaching her advanced horsemanship. Medical personnel needed mobility for emergencies, long rides, checking fence lines. The ranch was 30,000 acres. Private conversations discussing herd health required detailed communication. But the guards weren't fooled. They saw what everyone saw: two people falling deeper in love, despite every obstacle. "You're playing with fire," the head guard warned Johanna. "Fraternization gets prisoners transferred, gets civilians investigated. You want to destroy what you've built here." "We're not fraternizing, we're working." "You're lying to yourself." The guard's expression softened slightly. "Look, I get it. He's a good man, you're lonely. But this ends badly for both of you if you're not careful." Johanna knew he was right, but knowing and stopping were different things. One evening Robert found her in Sunshine Stall grooming the mare with slow, meditative strokes. "Rough day?" he asked. "The guards are watching us more closely, documenting every interaction, building a case." "For what?" "For separating us permanently." Anna set down the brush. "Robert, maybe we should stop before they have enough evidence to know." His voice was firm. "I've filed asylum papers. I've contacted immigration lawyers. Furthermore, I've written to my congressman. Furthermore, I'm fighting through legal channels, and if legal channels fail, then we find another way." Robert stepped closer, careful not to touch her, with guards potentially watching. "I won't lose you again, Johanna. Not to regulations, not to fear, not to anything. You're risking everything. You are everything." Sunshine nickered softly, as if approving. That night, Johanna wrote in her contraband journal, "Today I realized I've stopped thinking about Germany as home. When I imagine the future, it's here, with horses and prairie and a man who sees me as more than my nationality. Is it wrong to want this? To choose personal happiness over loyalty to a country that's already destroyed? Blouse would call me a traitor, but Blouse never made me feel alive. Robert does, and maybe that's enough." Summer brought scorching heat and unexpected visitors. A federal inspector arrived unannounced, clipboard, sharp eyes, authority radiating from every gesture. "I'm investigating allegations of inappropriate conduct," he announced, between ranch owner, Robert Dalton, and German prisoner Johanna Schneider. "What allegations?" Robert's jaw tightened. "Multiple reports, extended unsupervised time together, personal correspondence, emotional attachment inconsistent with prisoner-employer relationship." The inspector flipped through documents. "If substantiated, Miss Schneider will be transferred to maximum security. You'll be banned from the work program permanently." The investigation lasted 3 days. The inspector interviewed everyone: ranch hands, guards, other prisoners, neighboring ranchers. He observed interactions, timed conversations, documented every glance. Johanna and Robert maintained perfect professionalism: no touching, no private conversations, no indication of anything beyond work. But on the third evening the inspector found Robert's letters in Johanna's bunk. Dozens of them, carefully hidden, but not carefully enough. "Explain these?" the inspector demanded, spreading them across the table. Johanna's mind raced. Their ranch correspondence. Updates about horses, medical situations. I'm falling in love with you is ranch correspondence. The inspector's voice dripped sarcasm. Miss Schneider, do you reciprocate Mr. Dalton's feelings? I, Johanna, met the inspector's eyes. Yes, I do. Then you're confirming inappropriate fraternization. No, I'm confirming human connection. Johanna's voice strengthened. You want me to lie, to pretend I feel nothing. I'm a prisoner, not a robot. I have a heart. He has a heart. We haven't violated any regulations. We haven't touched inappropriately. Furthermore, we've simply recognized each other's humanity. Love between enemy combatants violates the spirit of. I'm not a combatant, I'm a nurse. I saved American lives. Furthermore, I work harder than anyone on this ranch. Furthermore, I deserve basic human dignity, including the right to feel. Johanna stood. Transfer me if you want, send me to maximum security, but you can't regulate emotion. You can only punish it. The inspector was silent. Then, Mr. Dalton, you're filing asylum papers. Yes, sir, why? Because she's the best ranch manager I've ever had, because she saved my employee's life, because Robert paused, because I love her and because America is supposed to be about freedom, including freedom to build a life with whoever you choose. The inspector closed his folder. I'm recommending approval. Both Johanna and Robert stared. Approval. Johanna breathed for asylum, not for fraternization. That's still prohibited until she's a civilian. The inspector almost smiled. But I've seen enough. You're not exploiting her, she's not manipulating you. You're two people who found something decent in an indecent war. That's rare enough to protect. 3 months later, Johanna's asylum was granted, September 1944. Johanna stood in a federal courthouse in Austin raising her right hand, swearing loyalty to the United States of America, renouncing German citizenship, becoming stateless, then American, in the span of 10 minutes. Robert waited outside, unable to enter due to regulations, but when she emerged, no longer a prisoner legally free. He was there. How do you feel? He asked terrified, exhilarated. Unwed Johanna looked at her new papers, resident alien status, work authorization, pathway to citizenship. I'm not German anymore, but I'm not really American either. I'm in between you. That's enough. Robert offered his arm. May I officially, legally, without fear of federal prosecution, ask you to dinner? You may. They ate at a small restaurant, Johanna's first meal as a free woman. Everything tasted different, brighter, more real. What happens now? She asked. Now I officially offer you a job, ranch manager, fair wages, housing, provided. Robert's eyes held hers, and when enough time has passed that no one can accuse me of improperly, I'm going to ask you to marry me. You're assuming I'll say yes. I'm hoping you'll say yes. There's a difference. Robert reached across the table, took her hand. Their first touch without guards watching. Johanna. I know this is fast.